Welcome to the first installment of the Mainstage Essentials video series from audiopropellor.com. I'm Sam Green, and I'm going to be showing you around Mainstage 2 today. Mainstage is a program that comes bundled with Logic. It's a live performance tool, and it lets you control Logic instruments, plugins, and use effects with your MIDI controller, or you can even pipe in a microphone or a line level input from your sound card. So there's a lot of possibilities here. It's very intuitive to set up, and you can get going and work with it during your practices, your rehearsals, and live shows. So let's see what Mainstage is, or who Mainstage is meant for. The obvious person or a group of people is keyboardists. Anybody who likes having a whole lot of sounds at their fingertips, being able to set up splits on your keyboard easily, and being able to change and organize them on screen instead of messing with your massive keyboard that you have to haul around with you everywhere, is going to like Mainstage. So that's great. Guitarists or any other instrument that you can plug into something, maybe a mandolin or an electric sitar, you can plug that into Mainstage and route it through effects and route it through the excellent new amp simulators and pedals, and you can really get some twisted sounds out of it. Drummers may be tasked with triggering backing tracks, which Mainstage 2 now executes very well with the playback plugin. Drummers are going to love it. They're going to be able to trigger their own backing tracks and loop in little different sections of them, and they'll also be able to. You could hook up a MIDI drum pad and trigger samples, or you could trigger instruments. Same thing as you can do with keyboardists, but you just do it with a drum pad, or maybe even your drummer would like to play keyboard sometime. Who knows? So vocalists can also use this. Just plug in a mic and start routing it through some different vocal effects patches. Maybe you can rig up a the Nintendo Wii controller and use that to change patches, or even use your remote control that came with your laptop to control that. You can use that as well. So vocalists, there's a lot of effects in Logic that are excellent, and you could try leveraging them in your live performance. Solo performers can use the backing tracks as well, and fill out their sound. There's also looping capabilities in the new version, so you can take advantage of that and really take your solo performance to another level. And then experimental performers who are into looping, using backing tracks, and syncing up with other external applications, maybe Max MSP, Ableton Live. The new version of Mainstage has rewire support and can also send and receive MIDI beat clock. So that's great news for those of us who like to try and connect these programs together and see what results we can get. So to get started and follow along with me today, you're going to need either a MIDI keyboard or some kind of a drum pad controller, foot pedal, whatever you're going to be using to trigger, like we're going to be doing MIDI notes mostly, so we're going to be playing a keyboard, so that would help if you have a keyboard, but you could also use a drum trigger. And you're going to need a way to get audio into your computer. So every Mac has a audio input, every recent Mac, so you can use that, or you can use your sound card that you've bought, which normally connects with USB or FireWire, so you just plug into those inputs that you have. And remember that you'll need a microphone preamp if you have a microphone and you're trying to plug it into your sound card. If you just have like guitar jacks going in, you're going to need to boost that microphone signal and get it into your card. And the other way to do it is to have a little small outboard mixer with RCA outputs and plug those into your computer's little tiny input jack, which is next to your headphone jack. So the onboard inputs, and those are normally you'll take a RCA plug, which will be converted to a mini plug, so you'll need the mixer and the adapter cable that goes to an 1/8 inch jack, which also known as mini plug. So you'll have that going in your computer, and you can pan one input left, one input right, and you'll have two channels in Mainstage. So that's what you need. You need that, and you need a copy of Logic, and with that comes Mainstage. So let's check it out. Let's get started. See what we can do. I'm going to start out by opening up this blank starter concert. That's what your Mainstage document is going to be called, concert. So let's double click that and open it up. Mainstage will fire up, and this is a file that you can get from the Audio Propeller website. And you will see this, an empty, cleared out concert. So what we're going to do, so we have this available in the future, we're going to go to File and Save as a Template. And we're going to save it as blank starter. So you would have typed that in and hit save. And I already have one there, so I'm going to overwrite it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just close this down so we can see how Mainstage might open up for you. When you opened it up, you'll see all these templates. So there's a nice variety that comes delivered from Apple with some different scenarios you can mess around with for guitars, for keyboards, even for mixing. That's kind of an idea that I never thought of when I saw Mainstage. Is if you have enough inputs on your sound card, you could use this to mix live. But anyway, let's double click the blank starter and fire it up, and we have we're in the edit view of Mainstage. You can see edit right there. So we have a few different modes we can see. We have kind of a canvas workspace, and we have our channel strips over here. So the channel strips that you're familiar with in Logic, if you know Logic. And over on the left, we have a patch list. So we can see this is called Untitled Concert right now. So let's save this as First Concert on our desktop. And we could see our concert name changes to First Concert. So there's a couple concepts in Mainstage that's are very important to understand. And the first is that everything is inside of a concert. And then inside of a concert, we can have a set, which is optional. So let's just create this set by clicking that gear and saying New Set. And we'll call it, Rockin' Hard. So this uses all the terminology that you're probably familiar with. We have a concert, and inside of those we have sets where we can group patches. So let's add a patch with that plus, and then let's rename that to electric piano. We use the good old electric piano plugin from Logic. And you may have noticed down here in the bottom in the patch inspector, that's been changing based on what we have selected. So let's just dive into that real quick and see what's available at the concert level. Click on the concert, and we can specify time signature and a tempo, or you could say that you'd like to get the tempo from the MIDI input. So you could kind of slave Mainstage's tempo to another program, which is acting as a master. We won't get into that. We'll get into that in another series. But right now, you might be wondering, why do I care about a tempo? In Mainstage, I'm mostly going to be just playing some keyboards along with the band, and that's true, so you may not want to worry about it. But the nice thing is that a lot of Logic's effects are tempo synced. So if you set up your tempo either with this concert tempo, or you could define it at patch levels too, or set levels, and it'll snap to a new tempo. And you can also tap the tempo if you set up a button on one of your controllers to tap the tempo. So let's look farther down here. Program changes. This is going to say what hardware is going to control what program changes are being sent to Mainstage. So you can pick your different devices here. Right now, you probably want to keep it as your MIDI keyboard, and it has all right there. So you could have all as well, but you'll have to watch out so you don't change something on another keyboard and send it to Mainstage and get an accidental patch change. And then pan law is something where when you pan something to the side, it seems like it gets quieter. Well, because it does. It's not playing through two speakers. So this will drop the centered level by 3 decibels, and compensated will raise the left and right levels. So I normally don't mess with that. So we'll keep it that way. Now let's drop down real quick and just see what we have at the set level. So we can do tempo and time signature there. Oh, and the one thing I missed was tuning. If you're into exotic tunings, you can define your own or choose from a few of these popular alternate tunings. So before we get a little deeper into the patches and setting up some channel strips, let's just go take a peek at the Mainstage Preferences and make sure we have everything set up correctly. So I'll click on Preferences, and then I'll go check out the Preferences window. We can set our tuning to non-standard off of 440 in case you're playing with some out-of-tune instruments. We have a metronome which clicks in time with the tempo, and we could send that to an alternate output. 1, 2, or 3, 4. Maybe your headphones might be 5, 6 on some sound cards, or 3, 4, depending on how many outputs you have. And you can send your click to your headphones so only you hear it, and then you can control the volume. The only problem I found is that there's not a distinct downbeat for the 1 count on the metronome, so you may have to take a peek at the display if you want to see where the 1 beat is, if you don't have a drum machine running, which we'll get to later. You have some startup behavior. If you wanted to open the most recent concert or just do nothing or create a new one from a template, you can keep that as you like. And these parameter values are we can get to later as well. It's when you're turning a knob. And you're in a new patch is the knob and the actual software value don't line up, then what's going to happen there? Right now I have it as jump, so it'll automatically snap to what I have, to what the value of my hardware knob. So let's go take a peek at audio. And this is important. You'll want to have your audio output to whatever sound card you'd like to use, or your built-in audio if you don't have a sound card, and then choose your audio input as well. And then you'll pick your I/O buffer size, and this is also important and pretty important for especially if you're doing any kind of percussion or audio in and out of your computer. The lower the number, the faster the sound is going to be coming out of your computer and also into your computer in the case of audio. So what you should do is set this down to 32 and see if you can play audio, and if you can, or not play audio, get your microphone audio going in and how your keyboard is. And it's going to be really fast, but it may get crackly and it may break up, and that's when you're going to want to step up to the next I/O buffer size. So you'll go to 64, and if that doesn't work, go up to 128. Maybe you'll hear little scratchy noises in the back and popping, and that means that your computer isn't able to handle that small of a buffer size. So there's going to be more of a delay between when you hit the keys and when sound comes out of your speakers. So you want to get it as low as possible, but not too low where it causes glitches. This I/O safety buffer, I just leave unchecked, and it's been working fine. And your sample rate, you can crank it up, but that obviously is going to cost more in your performance of your computer. Most of us have laptops, and we don't have a bunch of processors sitting there doing nothing. So leave it at the lowest sample rate. These are say you have a super long delay on your previous patch. When you change to a new patch, this will keep the sound going for a long time. You may want to set it lower if you're having problems switching patches and playing several at a time. Hot plug, I haven't gotten into that. And recording, a very cool new feature from Mainstage 2. You can record the output from a output pair and save that to disk while you're playing without using something that reroutes your audio to another program which records. So that's really cool. And the way you do that, well, you can pick your format and your location right there. The way you do that is by pressing this record button up here. So very cool. MIDI. Some setup here. This is really just all the built-in system stuff. We'll just take a look at that really quick. I'll give you a quick tip on MIDI devices here. If you've unplugged something, plugged it back in, and it's not working in Mainstage, try hitting this rescan MIDI, and it'll probably pick it back up and it'll become available, so you don't have to go rebooting your computer or shutting down Mainstage. You can try that first. Then we have display, and you can bring your plugins, make them come up larger so they're easier to see. I have mine at 125 right now, so they're a little bigger than they are by default. So those are the preferences in Mainstage. Let's get out of there, get on to some more fun stuff. So let's look at creating a new channel strip in this patch. So we have a patch, and within a patch can be multiple channel strips. And channel strips can be audio, or they can be MIDI audio instruments, or they can be things coming from outside Mainstage, or you can send MIDI to other programs or other hardware to make it react. So let's just hit this plus up here and say add a channel strip. That's the default plus button. And you get this little kind of wizard type thing. And we're going to do a software instrument, and we're going to create one of them. And our MIDI input is going to be keyboard. And then we're going to output on 1, 2. Now, that keyboard's kind of interesting because right now I haven't defined a keyboard, which is what we're going to get to in a while. So create that. So keyboard seems to be an instrument for when you haven't created any instruments, and it just works without doing anything. So I've gotten my default channel strip came up, which is called A blank, and you set that by going over here for the channel strip, the library. You highlight what you would like to be your default, and you say set as default channel strip. And you have to do that for your instrument and for your audio. So when you just did this now, you probably got like a electric piano, I believe, is the default when you first get it. So you would get something like this. So what you want to do, if you want to have a blank one come up, which I like having the blank, you go to reset channel strip, and that clears it out, and then you save your channel strip as, I like A blank because A makes it come up at the top of the list, so I'll replace it. So you've created that new setting, and then you highlight it over here, and you set it as the default channel strip. So now every time when you create a new audio instrument, software instrument channel strip, it'll come up blank. So let's, kind of silly, we're just going to create a electric piano like it would have done anyway. And we'll just leave it on the default setting, except I'm going to turn off the tremolo because it drives me nuts. And let's see what happens when I try and play my piano. Okay, so I get some sound, and it's pretty delayed right now, and I think that's because I'm using Soundflower to record this, so it's not going to be nice and snappy. Seems like I have to restart it every once in a while to get it back being snappy, responding to my key presses. So this is pretty basic here. We've got a channel strip playing just a audio instrument here, so that's coming in the input. Here's our output going to output 1, 2. Here's the name of our channel strip, which it changed it to manual because we changed it, I believe. And then you can double click in here and you get the EQ, which if you're a Logic user, all this should be familiar. So you have your inserts here. Then we can send to a bus, and it'll create that bus for us. Now let's hop back up to concert level real quick, and we can see that we have this bus here. Oh, that's interesting. So all of the aux channels, which have a bus as an input, are created at the concert level. So let's just call this reverb, and then let's throw a reverb on it. Do Space Designer. If you have a weaker computer, you might want to choose like a platinum reverb or something like that. So now if I switch back to my electric piano patch and I play it, okay, dry, then I'll turn it up, and I get some reverb there. By alt-clicking, you can send full amount to it, or you can go up and down and change it as you please. So just a quick note about placing channel strips at the concert level, like this aux channel is. The thing about putting it at the concert level is it's available to all your patches. So another, say a bass or some strings could also send to that same aux channel send to the bus, and that'll end up on the aux channel, and you'll be able to mix in some reverb for that. So you'll be able to cut down your CPU usage and share that effect among different patches. So that's one benefit of putting things at the concert level instead of at the patch level. And you could do the same thing with the looper plugins and the playback plugin. You can keep them at the concert level, or even a drum machine. Put it at the concert level, and you'll be able to use that in all your patches, and most importantly with the drum machine, keep it running while you change patches. And you can also do that type of thing by putting things at the set level. Now on the same conserving memory and CPU usage note, you can you can create aliases of instruments. So my piano here, I can highlight the channel strip here, and then edit, copy, and then I create a new patch, and I'm going to edit, oops, select that, and paste as alias. So what did that do? You can see it's called A blank. It's been named after that channel strip setting. And at the top here, we have a little green arrow, which means it's referencing another channel strip. So what happens, the first thing you wonder, are they linked now? Are they exactly the same? And the answer is yes. And we could see that by, let's turn down the reverb send there, and then go look at our other patch. Oh, yeah, it's been turned down as well. So let's turn that back up and go look again. So if you have some of the same keyboard sounds and you can deal with having the same effects on them, and you want to move them to other points in your performance, so you can just proceed through your different programs, your different patches, and use that same sound again, and not pay a penalty on memory, then you can do that. And it's really helpful if you have just massive sample libraries. For some pianos are really large, and some orchestral string things can be very large. So if you want to share that between patches, that's a way to do it. But for now, let's go here, and actually let's just delete the patch. I think you can just press delete. There we go. And next, we're going to just take a little peek inside this patch inspector. And for the patch, we're able to go add new channel strips to our patch. So let's say we want to pop piano in here as well. It's going to load up the samples. And it has replaced our other channel strip we had there. So let's undo that. Okay, so that's a way to get a new channel strip from your library in there. And then the patch also has attributes like the concert and the set had of tempos. So you can set your main stage to go to a new tempo when you change patches. And you can see here we have program changes. This is interesting. We have, let's just create a new patch real quick so we have something to look at here. And this one is program change 1. So this is program change 0. So you can switch to different patches by setting program changes from your keyboard. And like I said earlier, that what keyboard you use to do that is defined at the concert level in the attribute. So once again, if we go look here, program changes are coming from my keyboard. So what does that mean? I don't know if it works right here, but if I hit 0, yep, I'll hop there. And if I hit 0, 1 on my keyboard, I hop to the second patch. So one other hint with that, let's say we want to reorder. So I have my new patch up at the top, but you can see program change is still 01. I go up here and I say reset program change numbers. This will delete any program change numbers you have added manually and assign program change numbers according to the order in the patch list. That's great, because if you go reordering your whole set, you don't want to sit here and have to reorder all those manually. So now this has been changed to zeros. This has been changed to 01. Wonderful. So there are some other options here: deferring patch change and instantly silence previous patch. Defer patch change waits for all of the sound from your previous patch to end before the new one takes effect, and then instantly silence will just cut off that last patch. So if there's some ringing out, some pad that has a long sustain on it, it's gone. And the other thing, which is neat, the last thing here, icon, you can pick whatever icon you would like, which I like to do just to make things prettier. So you can go ahead and pick your electric piano there, and I'm going to delete this track again. So I'm back and I have a program change of 1, so I'll move that back down to 0. And that's about it for these channel strips here. You can get deeper into them, and of course different types, audio types, but we'll get into that later. So we'll continue in the next video.